I'm Sarah Mitchell, a high school English teacher in suburban Atlanta where the humid air clings to you like a second skin. My life's been about keeping things steady, lesson plans, soccer practice for my 9-year-old son, Noah, and a home that feels like a safe harbor. That's what my grandmother taught me. Build a life that holds strong, no matter the storm. Her silver necklace, a delicate chain with a sapphire pendant, sits in my jewelry box as a reminder of her grit, the kind that got her through raising me after my parents split. But one afternoon, that stability cracked like thin ice underfoot. Noah and I walked through our front door after his soccer practice, his cleats still muddy, when a sharp, sugary scent hit me, some cheap perfume that didn't belong. Noah's grip on my hand tightened, his brown eyes darting around. "Mom, whose stuff is that?" he whispered, pointing to a pile of glittery purses and clothes spilling across our living room floor. A half-empty energy drink sat on my oak coffee table, next to a laptop I didn't recognize and a scatter of lip gloss tubes. My stomach twisted. This wasn't just clutter, it was an invasion. My husband, Jim, stepped out of the kitchen, his lopsided grin the one he always used when he knew I'd be mad. "Sarah, Tara's here for a bit," he said, like he was announcing a weekend guest. "She got kicked out of nursing school. Needs a place to crash." My throat tightened. Tara, his younger sister, was a walking hurricane, charming, reckless, and always leaving chaos in her wake. I'd seen her bounce from one friend's couch to another, always with a smile and a promise to figure it out. But our home? Without a word to me? "Noah, honey, go start your homework," I said, keeping my voice steady. He hesitated, sensing the tension, but trudged upstairs. Once his door clicked shut, I turned to Jim. "You didn't think to ask me?" "Her stuff's all over our house, Jim. Our house." He rubbed the back of his neck, avoiding my eyes. "She's family, Sarah. She's got nowhere else." What was I supposed to do? Call me?
Talk to me.
Act like we're partners? My voice shook, but I kept it low. Before he could answer, the bathroom door swung open and Tara strolled out, wrapped in my favorite blue towel, her wet hair dripping onto our hardwood. "Sarah, you're a lifesaver for letting me stay," she said, flashing that practiced smile that never quite reached her green eyes. "Jim said you'd be cool with it." I shot Jim a look, but he was suddenly fascinated by the floor. "Did he now?" I said, my words sharp as broken glass. "Just a few weeks," Tara chirped, grabbing a nail polish bottle from her mess. "Maybe a month or two, depending." A month or two. The words hit like a punch. I knew Tara's temporary, always stretched into forever. I'd watched her charm her way into friends' lives, overstaying until they snapped. Now she was here, in my space, using my things, and Jim hadn't even blinked. "Kitchen. Now," I told Jim, brushing past Tara as she painted her nails on my couch. In the kitchen, I spun to face him. "This isn't happening, Jim. She can't just move in." He sighed, like I was the one being unreasonable. "She's my sister, Sarah. She's got no one else." I leaned closer, my voice a hiss. "And I'm your wife. Noah's your son. When did we stop being your priority?" His silence was louder than any answer. In that moment, with Tara's perfume seeping through the walls, I realized this wasn't just about an uninvited guest. This was about my home, my family, and the fight to keep them mine. 3 days into Tara's invasion, the house felt like it was holding its breath. I found Noah at the kitchen table one morning, spooning cereal alone, his math homework crumpled at the edge. "Where's your dad?" I asked, already dreading the answer. Noah's shoulders slumped, helping Aunt Tara with her laptop. Something about job applications. Of course. Jim was always helping Tara, leaving Noah to fend for himself. I squeezed his shoulder, feeling the tension in his small frame. "I'll pack your lunch, buddy. How about we have dinner tonight, just us?" His eyes lit up, but the hope in them stung. "Like before she came?" he asked. I nodded, but deep down I knew before was slipping away. That evening, I came home to chaos. Tara had invited 3 strangers, women I'd never met, lounging on my furniture, sipping wine from my glasses. The air reeked of cigarette smoke, despite our no-smoking rule. Tara waved from my favorite armchair, her voice bright. "Sarah, meet my crew. We're brainstorming business ideas." Jim sat on the floor, laptop open, looking more alive than he had in months. "These ladies have big plans, Sarah. Real entrepreneurial vibe." I forced a smile, my eyes scanning for Noah. "Where's our son?" I asked. Jim shrugged, not looking up. "Upstairs." Said he wasn't hungry. I found Noah in his room, curled on his bed with a half-eaten sandwich, his school lunch untouched. "Mom, is Aunt Tara staying forever?" His voice was small, like he was afraid of the answer. I sat beside him, pushing his soccer jersey aside. "No, honey. This is temporary." But the word felt hollow. I helped him with his math, trying to carve out a moment of normalcy, but the laughter from downstairs kept breaking through. Later, after Tara's friends left, I cornered Jim in our bedroom. "We need rules, Jim. She's turning our home into a frat house." He rolled his eyes. "They're just figuring out their lives, Sarah. Why can't you be supportive?" I stepped closer, voice low. "Supportive? Our son ate dinner alone while you played career coach to Tara's party crew. He's not okay, Jim."
He scoffed. "Noah's fine."
"You're being dramatic." Something snapped. 2 weeks, Jim. That's it. Then she's out, or I'll make her leave." He laughed, a cold sound. "This is my house, too." I straightened, my voice steady. "Is it? Because my name's on the deed." The words hung between us, sharp and final. His eyes darkened, and I knew this fight was only beginning. Then I found it, a crumpled envelope slipping from Tara's purse as I moved it off the counter. Inside were credit card statements, overdue bills, and a letter from a gambling support group. 30,000 in debt, 12,000 in loans, and payday advances that made my head spin. When Jim walked in, I held up the papers. "This is why she got kicked out. She didn't fail school. She gambled away her tuition." His face paled. "You shouldn't be going through her stuff." I spread the statements out. "She's in her house, Jim, around Noah. These charges, online poker, sports betting, are from last week. She's not stopping." Tara walked in, freezing when she saw the papers. "Sarah, please," she whispered. "How long have you been lying?" I asked. Her tears didn't move me. "Jim knew," she said softly. The world tilted. I turned to him. "You knew?" He looked away. "I've been helping her." A sick realization hit. "The missing money from your business account. That wasn't a glitch, was it?" His silence was my answer. The air in the kitchen felt thick, like a storm about to break. I stared at Jim, his silence screaming louder than any excuse. Tara stood by the counter, clutching her phone, tears streaking her mascara. "Get out," I said, my voice steady despite the fire in my chest. "Both of you."
"Now."
Jim stepped forward, hands raised. "Sarah, let's talk this through." I held up the gambling statements, my hands shaking. "Talk. You funneled our money to her addiction. You lied to me, to Noah." Tara's voice cracked. "I'm getting help, Sarah. I swear." I turned to her unflinching. "These charges are from last week. You're not getting help. You're dragging us down with you." Noah appeared in the doorway, school bag slung over his shoulder, eyes wide. "Mom, what's happening?" Tara moved toward him, but I stepped in her path. "Don't," I said, my voice ice cold. "Noah, go to your room." He hesitated, then ran upstairs. I turned back to Jim. "You brought an addict into our home, around our son. You gave her our savings." Jim's jaw tightened. "She's family, Sarah." I pulled out my phone. "Family doesn't steal from each other. You have 1 hour to get her out, or I call the police. And Jim, pack a bag, you're going too." He stared, disbelieving, but I was done bending. The doorbell rang, and Maggie Carter stormed in like a Georgia thunderstorm, Jim and Tara trailing behind her like scolded kids. "This ends now," she declared, pushing past me into the living room. Noah peeked from the stairs, his small face pale. "We're family, Sarah," Maggie said, her voice heavy with righteousness. I closed the door, standing between her And Noah. Family? Until your kids stole from me. Tara interjected. I borrowed it. I'll pay it back. I laughed, bitter. With what? More bets. Maggie's eyes narrowed. 42,000 isn't a misunderstanding, Maggie. Neither is lying to your spouse or enabling an addict. Maggie's face softened, but her voice stayed firm. Everyone makes mistakes. My husband, Jim's father, his drinking tore us apart. I couldn't save him, but I won't lose my kids. The pieces clicked. That's why you pushed Tara to stay here. You knew about her gambling. Maggie's silence confirmed it. Jim stepped forward. We can fix this, Sarah. Together. I looked at him, seeing the scared boy who couldn't save his dad. You're not fixing anything. You're repeating history. Noah's voice broke through from the stairs. Is Dad leaving? My heart cracked. Yes, honey, I said, keeping my eyes on Jim. Dad and Aunt Tara need to go. And so does Grandma Maggie. She bristled. You can't keep my grandson from me. I held up my phone. Leave, or I call the police and report Jim's business card charges to the Gambling Commission. Tara whispered. You wouldn't. I met her eyes. Try me. They left, Maggie's protests fading down the driveway. Jim lingered at the door, pleading. Sarah, please.
He's my son, too.
I straightened. Then act like his father, not her enabler. I shut the door, turning to Noah, who watched me with wide eyes. Are we okay, Mom? I pulled him close, his heartbeat steady against mine. We will be, baby. In that moment, I wasn't just fighting for a home. I was fighting for him, for us, for a future they couldn't touch. The safe in our bedroom was supposed to be sacred, a lockbox for Noah's future, my grandmother's necklace, our passports. But one morning, I opened it and found nothing but a crumpled receipt from Lucky Strike Casino, dated 3 days ago. My hands shook as I dialed Jim's number, voicemail, again. A text buzzed, need to talk. Meet at Riley's Diner. Important.
Jim.
I drove to the diner, my stomach in knots, knowing whatever waited there wouldn't be good. Jim sat hunched over black coffee, looking like he'd aged a decade. Tara was beside him, makeup smudged, eyes red. Where's the necklace? I asked, voice low to avoid the stares of other diners. Tara's lip trembled. Sarah, please, Jim cut in. We can explain. I leaned forward, my voice ablaze. Explain how you gave her the safe code? How you pawned my grandmother's necklace for gambling money. Tara stared at her coffee. I was winning. I could have doubled it. I laughed hollow. But you didn't, did you? Jim reached for my hand. I yanked it back. We can get it back, he said. I've got a plan. I shook my head. Another plan, like when you borrowed from your business account. Or when you said Tara would leave in weeks. The waitress approached, but I waved her off. Where's the necklace, Tara? She mumbled. Lucky Strike has a pawn shop. They give better rates to regulars. Regulars. The word burned. You pawned my grandmother's necklace to a casino. Jim jumped in. We just need 10,000, Tara blurted. I have a system. I stood, my chair scraping loud enough to turn heads. Noah's college fund. You took that too, didn't you? Their silence was deafening. I'm calling the police, I said, pulling out my phone. Tara's voice rose, panicked. They'll arrest me. Jim stepped between us. Sarah, think about Noah. If you do this, there's no going back. I met his eyes. Better he knows his aunt's in jail than grows up with addicts stealing his future. I drove to Lucky Strike Casino, a neon monstrosity that reeked of desperation. Security footage showed Jim and Tara had been there for hours. I found them at a poker table, Tara's face streaked with tears, Jim's hands shaking as he pushed forward their last chips. Sarah? Tara gasped. We're winning it back. The dealer's face stayed blank as he dealt a losing hand. I turned to him. How much have they lost tonight? He glanced at his ledger. 47,000, ma'am. My knees buckled. Noah's college fund gone. Get up, I said, voice steady despite the ache in my chest. Jim pleaded. One more hand. We're close. I laughed, bitter. To what?
Rock bottom.
A security guard approached. Everything okay? I shook my head. These two stole from me. Family heirlooms bonds. I want to press charges. Tara lurched forward. You can't. Jim grabbed my arm. Think about Noah, Sarah. That's when I heard him, Noah's voice, small and broken, from the casino entrance. Is that all our money? Maggie stood behind him, holding his hand, her face ashen. Noah's confusion, his eyes taking in Jim's disheveled state and Tara's tears, shattered me. You already destroyed us, I told Jim, pulling free. To the guard, I said, they pawned stolen goods here. Everything's gone. Tara screamed, we sold it all, the necklace, the bonds. The room spun, but Noah's small hand in mine grounded me. I'd burned every bridge to protect him, and I'd do it again. The lawyer's office smelled of old coffee and regret. Jim sat across from me, divorce papers stacked like a wall between us. Maggie paced behind him, her heels clicking, while Tara huddled in a corner, quieter than I'd ever seen her. Before we sign, Jim said, his voice raw, we can get the money back. Tara found an investor. I didn't look up, my pen steady on the first page. Another scheme, like the one that emptied Noah's college fund? Tara stepped forward. It's different this time. I met her eyes. Like when you pawned my grandmother's necklace. Or convinced Jim to drain our accounts for your system? Maggie's voice cut in, sharp with that familiar manipulation. Think about Noah, Sarah. He needs his father. I looked at Jim, seeing the man who'd chosen his sister over our son. When was the last time you were a father he could trust? He flinched. I can change, he said, reaching for the papers. I pulled them back, sliding an envelope across the table. The police found footage from Lucky Strike. They're curious how stolen property ended up in their pawn shop. Tara's face went white. Maggie stopped pacing. That's blackmail, she snapped. I pushed the papers toward Jim. That's justice. Sign or I press charges. Choose. Your sister's freedom or Noah's future. The scratch of Jim's pen was the only sound as he signed. I stood, gathering my things. At the door, I turned back. Tara, get real help. Jim, be better for Noah, if not for me. I walked out, the Atlanta sun warm on my face, like it knew this was a beginning, not an end. A week later, a letter arrived at our new apartment, tucked between bills. Noah held it up, recognizing Tara's handwriting. Can I read it, Mom? I nodded, watching him open it carefully, like it might bite. His eyes scanned the page, softening. She's in rehab, he said. Real rehab. She says she's sorry, but sorry's not enough. She's trying, though. I set down my coffee. How's that feel? He folded the letter, precise and thoughtful. Good, I guess. Through the window, I heard kids laughing at the neighborhood playground, where Noah now played with friends instead of hiding in his room. Dad called Grandma Maggie, he added. I heard him say, he's getting help too. Something in me loosened. Not forgiveness, but a step toward peace. The doorbell rang. A delivery man handed me a small package. Inside, wrapped in tissue, was my grandmother's necklace, its sapphire glinting. A note read, found this at Lucky Strike's pawn shop. Paid what I owed.
Dada.
Noah touched it gently. Tell me about great-grandma again? We sat on the couch, the necklace between us, as I shared stories of her strength, her refusal to break, her ability to forgive without losing herself. Noah listened, his eyes bright with something new. Hope, maybe, or wisdom earned too young. Revenge didn't fix us. It wasn't the ultimatums or the divorce that set us free. It was choosing to value ourselves, to build a life where Noah could laugh again, where I could breathe. Maybe we save this for my kid someday, Noah said, holding the necklace. I smiled, seeing my grandmother in him. She'd like that. To everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through betrayal, heartbreak, and the fight for something better. If this story hit you, hit that subscribe button and join us. Every scar tells a story of strength, every step a new beginning. Keep building your own truth, and I'll meet you where the light breaks through.